Hi there, and welcome to my new vlog. My name is Brian Fine, and I am a martial artist. I've been training in the traditional combative, non-competitive type martial arts for about half my life. And that journey has taken me around the world several times and introduced me to some really, really amazing people. And most recently, for the past 5, 6 years, I've been training in Magui Baguazhang with the fourth generation lineage holder, Li Laoshi. And after having a recent conversation with him, he gave me explicit permission to share some of his art uh, online through YouTube. So while I will make no claims at any level of mastery, I am nowhere near as good as he is. I think I can bring quite a bit of value to those who are looking to get started in this art, and for those who practice other martial arts, I have a lot of connections, so I'm gonna kind of function on an assumption that the first good amount of people who end up watching this particular video probably know me through some other martial art training, the Bujinkan, personal protective measures, or something like that. So for those who practice another art, the practice of Bagua has enhanced all of my martial art practice. So maybe something that I show or share on here can enhance your training as well. So on this first video, because I'm really new to this idea of YouTube, I wanted to do a little bit of teaching, though generally I just kind of want to share the way I train. So I'm not going to make a bunch of videos showing you exactly how to do this martial art. My tentative plan and goal for this channel is to do 3 videos a week. And one of those videos I'll share some kind of movement or practice or something I'm working on. Another one I'd like to talk about some kind of martial art concept. That could be maybe something modern, or we can talk about more of the philosophy, like the health benefits or why we train a certain way. That kind of discussion I think has a lot of value. And then on the last day, I thought I'd do maybe some kind of Scotch-based martial arts story time, and we can discuss again like some kind of martial context. But for this first video here, I wanted to share the core practice of Magui Baguazhang. And most of the time when people think of martial arts training, what tends to come to mind is kind of a technique thing. Something happens and you move or change in some particular way, and the bad guys fall down, go boom, and that's the kind of thing that we consider that practice, and we repeat that over and over again. But with a internal practice like Baguazhang, we have to put things in a little bit more context. It's not that straightforward. Everything we do is not necessarily done how you do it in a fighting, violent type situation. Instead, the primary purpose of this core practice, the circle walking, is to condition the body and develop abilities that will eventually help you apply principles for fighting. So it's a little bit kind of stepped remove. If you think about it, it's to use a bit of a metaphor, when it comes to like driving a car, there's a difference between taking driving lessons, driving to work every day, and going into some kind of like competitive race or something. So if we think of the race as the actual like life and death fight, the driving every day is maybe regular practice, but the learning how to drive and the maybe maintaining the car or buying or building a better car, that's more like circle walking. It's improving the system that you will eventually use when you go to do some martial art type stuff. There's also a ton of health benefits to it, much like many of you are probably familiar with Tai Chi. It's quite popular around the world. That has, people do it for stress relief and that kind of thing. It can be done at any age. And one of the things that initially attracted me to this martial art was my other practice had caused me to have some injuries. I'm not a very old guy, but I've been beaten pretty good in my time, and it was starting to take a little bit of a toll. So through this practice, I've been able to totally overcome those injuries, some really bad stuff with my knees that I'm well past now. And people who practice this have done so at almost any age, like even significantly older, late 60s, early 70s, and have recovered from some really significant long-term injuries through this practice. So those health benefits, I'll discuss some more on future videos and get more specific about it, but generally it's good stuff. And then for the martial aspect of it, one of the key ideas in any higher level martial art is the idea of a whole body power, the use of a structure rather than kind of a muscle power to generate the force that's needed to do whatever, be that hit something or twist and break it or throw somebody, whatever that is. The more sophisticated arts will do so using, a lot of structure-based principles with the human body. So one thing that happens very, very quickly, kind of our first stop when we start practicing Magui Baguazhang, is we work very hard on getting that structure, conditioning our body to be in it, and then getting the body to be strong at staying in that structure and using it very naturally. So we call that practice circle walking, and I'm going to do a little bit of editing here. Our practice is done outside year-round, and it has been a really nasty cold snap for the past few weeks. It's made getting out there and doing any kind of recording really difficult. But luckily, today we had a break in the weather, and I was able to get out there. Now, when I'm doing this regularly, I'm filming this stuff on an iPhone, so I'm ordering a new camera, so hopefully we can clean up any quality issues. And I've also found out that I'm going to have a bit of a learning curve when it comes to editing, putting this stuff together, and presenting information to you. One thing that I learned really fast is while I'm walking in a circle, if I'm also talking, for half the time I'm facing away from the microphone and you can't hear a word I'm saying. So little things like that, if you guys can show just a little bit of patience as I figure it out over the next few videos. And hopefully you find a lot of value in this, and if so, please do me a favor and click that subscribe button below, and feel free to leave me some comments and likes and let me know, give me some feedback here so I can both share my journey with you and provide some value to you going forward. So that's enough of me talking. I definitely don't want to make all this stuff about me just BSing at a camera, so I'm going to cut to it, and this is some training in how to do circle walking. When we start circle walking, the first thing we need to do is establish our structure. This is a thing that a lot of practitioners overlook. I think it's really, really important, and my teacher has stressed it to me from day one. So the way we do this, you start with your feet together and you're standing up straight. And then you're going to comfortably bring your legs apart. That's about shoulder width. The idea, if you x-rayed yourself and you were just a skeleton, you'd have the two femur bones in your thighs. We want those perpendicular to the ground. So I don't want to be too far apart. I also don't want them too close together and making that kind of V shape that would make me off balance. So we start with them together, separate them comfortably, and then the next step is we need to straighten the spine. So we're going to sit down to do that. If you think of again, like an x-ray of the spine, it has this S curve to it. Where the butt sort of sticks out, we have this hollow spot here. It rounds up here towards the back, and then the head kind of comes forward. We're going to reverse all of that and make it a straight line. So the head will go back. This hollow spot in the lower back will go down and back. And to do that, the knees have to bend and let the pelvis come forward. So it's like sitting in a chair. I just go this way. Okay, so chin comes back, back goes forward, and the knees end up bending. And that straightens out the back. When you first start practicing, you will probably not be able to do this very well. The muscles in your back will be too tight and short to lengthen this way. That can take several months. So you just do your best and pull that chin back, and you're going to find this really stretches the back, and it might even be kind of stressful to you. So that's actually kind of the point. you're doing it right if you feel something in the back. So feet together, bring them apart comfortably, sit down, pull the chin back, then the right foot comes forward, so both knees are in one line, and all my weight is on that back leg. My hands, palm up, reach straight out. Don't pick up your shoulders, just leave them down. Chin back still, keep the back straight. And then we're gonna do something we call coiling. And that's where we're gonna turn our body, but we turn it from the inside hip. So from that right hip, it's gonna turn so it goes over my left ankle. And then from here, I just bring my left hand under my right elbow. And this is a position we call dragon, and it is the basic walking position for Magui Baguazhang. So I'll do it from the other direction. Start with the feet together. Spread them apart comfortably. Sit down. Right leg goes forward. Hands go up. And then I'm going to coil and put my left hand under my elbow. Okay. Now we're going to walk the circle. I'm going to show you guys the footwork that we use to do that. So just like I showed you, we start with the feet together, bring them apart comfortably. I sit down so my back is straight, my knees are bent, and my chin is back. Right foot comes forward. My hands go up, and then I'm coiled. Okay, so you already saw this. To walk the circle, when I take a step forward, the outside foot will slightly turn. So the leg is still straight, but the foot itself is turned a bit. When I take the second step, the inside foot is always straight, with both toes pointing in the same direction. And my knees are in one line. So this is a nickname for Magui Baguazhang is small step Bagua. So we're actually not taking a very big step here, because if I did, it would bring my legs apart and pull my pelvis and back out of alignment. So we're taking a smaller step that allows our knees to stay together, keeps us in structure, and actually protects our groin as well for fighting. So, inside foot straight, outside foot slightly turned. Straight and slightly turned. And then with my arms, I'm always facing the center of the circle. So with this foot straight, I'm perpendicular to the center of the circle. Now when you're walking, especially at first, you're probably going to lose your structure when you take a step. So things will happen like this. I'll take a step that's too big, and now my back's out of alignment. Every time I put my inside foot forward, I'm going to reset and correct that structure. So I'll do that again. I mess up a little, something's off. When I get this inside foot forward, I just fix it. And then I take another step. Take a step, make sure I'm right. Every time this inside foot's forward, we correct that structure. Another thing, as we walk, we want to keep our feet flat to the ground. So I don't want to pick my heel up like this or like this. I just move it completely flat and set it down. We call this the mud walking step in Baohua. And that forces our ankle through a full range of motion. See, I don't try to walk really fast. I don't want to cheat by having inertia, so I'm not trying to do something like this, which I'm sure you could find a few videos of on YouTube if you try. I want to keep that structure very straight, and I don't want any momentum that would disrupt my balance or let me cheat. As we're trying to condition our body to hold this structure well. Now when you walk, it can be very hard to hold this structure. Your arms get heavy, you want to put them down, your back will come out of place and you'll end up doing something like this. So every time my inside foot goes forward, I take a moment and reset that structure, make sure I'm in the right place. So if I take a step that's maybe a little too big here, it bent my back, so now I'm gonna fix that. Or maybe as I get tired, I don't coil as much, so now I'm kind of straight. And when that inside foot comes forward, I'll fix that. Every other step, I correct my structure. It's quite a bit of work to keep this position all the time. So the way we're going to practice today is we're going to circle walk for 1 hour. We're going to do 2/3 of that practice with our right hand forward. And we're not going to drop our arms or break this position. And then we're going to do the last third of our practice by going the other direction. And I'll show you guys some ways to do that on future videos. But for now, all you got to do is start over. Turn around, it's the exact same thing with the left forward instead. Feet together, put them apart comfortably, sit down, left leg goes forward, arms up, coil, and I walk. So I would do this for 1/3 of the time. Now if you've never practiced an art like this before, an hour might be a little rough for your first time out. So what I would suggest is maybe something like 10 minutes to the right and 5 minutes to the left. Well, you want to try very hard not to break that structure and let it go. So don't let your arms get lazy and start doing this kind of stuff, or coming down, or this arm dropping. That's a big one when you start out. Holding the arms up this way is difficult. Keep your pelvis tucked. You don't want to be walking around this way. It's not good for you. Keep everything tight, spine straight, chin back. And make sure you're not turning this inside foot when you walk. It's not good for your knee. That inside foot should be completely straight with every step. That is basic Magui Baguazhang circle walking.